Okay guys, today we're working on the 2500 HD. Surprise, surprise. Got a bunch of parts here you can see for the truck. Basically doing the entire steering system. Power steering, pump, the box, all the lines, Pitman arm. I've got a new GM idler arm coming, hopefully tomorrow. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. I've got the both pressure lines. I've got some more line for the returns. I also picked up a new belt. I got a squeak somewhere up front, and I'm going to try a new belt. The old one wasn't too bad, but it had some little bit of cracking. I'll save that one for a backup or something. And then also I have it's a transmission cooler, but I'm going to use this as my power steering cooler. I didn't like the size of the one they had. They had a power steering cooler, but it was so small and it looked so cheap that I'm going to go with this. You can get a factory cooler. I'm trying to do this on Thanksgiving weekend, so I'm not going to be able to get anything till after the weekend, and I just want to get this done. So I'm going to put the transmission cooler in there. Okay guys, so in the engine bay, I've done a bunch of disassembly. The shroud and the fan and the belts off. I got the power steering pump off and out. Already done that. You got to pull the pulley off first, and I'll show you what tool I used for that. Okay, so this is what you're going to need to pull that power steering pulley off. This is the kit that I got down at the auto parts store. We've had this for a while. This is a power belt, power steering, and alternator, pulley, puller, and installer kit. And this has got pretty much everything you're going to need to pull the pulley off and install it. And I'll show you what I used to pull this pulley off. Okay, so to pull this pulley off the power steering pump, you're going to need a few things in this kit you got to put together. First thing is you've got your threaded rod here, and this is actually going to be doing the pushing against the pump, pushing against the shaft right here. And also you got this little like a button head thing you're going to put on there. Different cars will call for different things, so you got to kind of make it for yours. But this Chevy truck, I used the little one, and it's going to go up against there. You've got your nut with like a big flange washer on it. You're going to put them together, screw that together, and then you've got these two pieces here, and these two pieces are going to come together. You're going to bring them together, and they're going to grab a hold of this groove on the pulley. So they're going to go on like that. But before you do that, you got to get your tool in there. You're going to put your tool down on there. You're going to put this together like this, and then there's a little locking sleeve that goes over top of that. And once you do that, that locks this on the pulley. Then what you're going to do is you're going to hold this one with a wrench so it don't spin, the bottom one, and you're going to spin this one in. You're going to spin that in, and what that's going to do is it's going to pull the pulley off your power steering pump. Okay, so once you get that pulley off, that's going to expose 3 of the mounting bolts for this pump. There's 1, 2, 3. You got to take them out. And then there's one more mount right there. It's going to be hard to see that, I know, but there's a steel support that bolts on the back of the pump. And I'll show you that in a second here. So here's that bracket that bolts to the back of the pump. This part right here bolts onto the block of the motor. And that's your 4th and final mounting point for this pump. Then it's free to unhook or take out. I didn't unhook the line. I just left the line. You got one line back there. I just took it out with that line hooked up, and then I just took that line off once I got the pump out here on the bench. Probably going to install it the same way. I'll hook that line up, tighten it down, and then install it that way. But I can't install this yet because I'm replacing more parts. So next thing is I got to get the old steering box out, and that's what I'm working on right now. Okay guys, so I'm going to start at the bottom here. I'm going to get that Pitman arm off the steering linkage here. You see I got the nut off there, and I got my big hammer and a pickle fork here, and I'm going to beat on that until she lets go. You can see that power steering leak has made a real mess under here, so probably have to try to clean that up at some point, but it's really making things messy down here. I'm going to get to it. Okay guys, she finally come off. My advice for getting something like that off, big hammer and keep swinging. This is a little difficult to get to because it's kind of up in there. You see that? Kind of got to go between the sway bar and the frame there to get your pickle fork in there. But keep swinging at it, you'll get her. I'm going to bring the truck down now. I'm going to unhook the hoses up there. Okay guys, so I got the pressure line unhooked from the box. Got the line, I believe that comes from the cooler, unhooked. I got the steering shaft off there. You got to pull that bolt out. You got to pull it completely out because there's a little indentation right there. Just loosening it up won't do it. Then you slide the shaft back. I kind of take a little pry bar and kind of pry it, and it collapses back, and you can get it out of the way. So all that's left now is the 3 mounting bolts, and I'm going to get them from down there. And then I'm going to bring the box, I believe, straight up here. I'm not going to take it out from the bottom. I think it's easier just to come up this way. Okay, so finally the 3 mounting bolts. I did have to remove this inner fender on the driver's side. I got 2 of these with the electric impact, actually, my 18 volt. That one won't go, so I got to get the big guy out. The air powered. And that's it. Once I get these bolts out, I'm going to lift this monster box out of here. Well, there she be, guys. Rusty, cruddy, oily mess of a box. It's only a $5 core, so I'm not even sure I'm even going to take this thing back. I'd have to wrestle with that Pitman arm to take that off to get it back in the box. So I don't know. I may just... Okay, guys. So as far as disassembly, I'm pretty much done. I got to take one more pressure hose off there, and then I've got the hoses that go to the cooler. The factory cooler is right here, and you can see why I want to replace that. It's a cruddy mess, but we'll deal with the cooler later. That can be done after everything else is done. So this assembly is pretty much done. Wish I could pressure wash this out, but I can't really get it outside now, so I'll have to clean it up when I get it done real nice. Spray some degreaser all over everything. So I guess we'll start prepping all the new parts to start going back in. Okay, guys, so I got my gearbox all assembled, ready to drop in. Had to add my Pitman arm here. I had to take the old nut off this old steering box, the old nut and lock washer there. Torqued it on with my 1/2 inch impact. I'm sure there's a torque spec on that. And got my new Moog, very expensive. I think this is over $100 for this Moog Pitman arm. I'm not sure why it's so much more, but I don't really want to have to take this box off again. So I put the good one on. It's got this little, first time I've ever seen this, it's like a foam washer. So that's interesting. Usually there's a boot, a rubber boot or whatever that goes on there, but this one came with a foam washer. So it'll be interesting how that holds up. So it's ready to go into the truck. I did put one of my fittings on the gearbox here. I just did that because I didn't want to forget which one that went on. This is the pressure line. This is the line I believe comes from the cooler. One of the lines that comes from the cooler. So I just got that on there. I taped it up so no debris falls in that, and I'll hook up my pressure line once I get it in there and bolted down. So this thing is ready to be put back in the truck. Okay, so one more thing to note before I install this gearbox is I think most of the time they center these. Make sure everything is so when your wheel straight, that's how the box is sitting after they remanufacture it. But I always like to check to make sure. And it's about 1.5 turns each way is centered. Plus the shaft here is where it needs to be. With the wheel straight, you got your little indentation for your bolt, and the way this Pitman arm sits on there, it's got to be facing the same direction as the steering shaft when the wheel's straight. So just pay attention, make sure you don't get this like one turn off, because then you won't be able to fully turn in one direction. Yeah, just make sure this is centered before you stick it in there. Okay guys, one other thing you want to keep in mind, once you disconnect the steering shaft, do not spin the steering wheel, okay? There's wires in there and you can wreck stuff if you spin the steering wheel with it not connected to the gearbox. Okay guys, so I got the new gearbox bolted down. It was easier to set it in from the top side and then kind of push it up into place and put the bolts on from under here. So that's what I've done. It's bolted down. I got the nut started on the Pitman arm. I'm not going to mess with that though. I'm going to drop it back down and I'm going to hook my steering shaft back up so I don't lose position, so I don't start moving it out of position. Because right now I know everything's straight. The wheel's straight, gearbox is straight, Pitman arm is straight. So I got to get that slid back on before I get it out of whack. Okay, so a bit of prying, a bit of tapping, and a bit of cussing. I got this shaft back on, bolts installed, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the power steering pump back in now and get that bolted up before I put any lines in here, just so I don't have anything in the way. So I'm going to get that back in here. Okay, so I got my pump here, installed my mounting bracket. It was weird here. It had it rubbing against the pump, so I added some washers. I don't know what the deal is there, but I added some washers there. I got my new line on. I tightened it up on the back of this pump because I really don't think there's an easy way to get at that once the pump is installed. So I got that fitting tightened down. I've got some stuff over this fitting so it don't get dirty while I feed it up and back to the I believe this goes to the Hydro Boost. So I'm gonna get this in. Okay guys, so I got my new pressure lines installed there. You can spot the shinier loom or not. I had to readjust the hose on that pump. I had to bring it up because I put it in the wrong spot when I first stuck it in there. Just had to bring it up, loosen it up, and twist it around a little bit. There's the new pressure hose on the gearbox. So next, I think I'm going to put the power steering pulley back on the pump, and I'm going to use that tool. Okay guys, here's my pulley. There's really no way to get you in the engine bay to show you exactly how I'm going to put this, press this pulley back on, but I got my tool here that I took it off with. I got that nut thing with the big washer end on it. I got this one right here. This is going to screw into here like this. And then this end here is going to screw into the power steering pump. And then we've got this bearing. Let's see if I can put this up here. This little bearing here, it's got a bearing inside of it, and you can see that it moves. This goes on like that, and then you got a thrust washer that goes on like this. Okay, so this is going to go in like this, and like I said, this is going to screw into the power steering pump itself, and you're going to hold this one. You're going to do the opposite of when you pulled it out. You're going to hold this one, and you're going to turn this one in, and that's going to press the pulley back onto the shaft of the power steering pump. Okay, so you can see here I've got that piece, and I got the little threaded deal adapter, and I've got it threaded inside the power steering pump shaft here. You got a little bit of WD or blaster on that too. Kind of lube it up a little bit. Trying to show you this without losing all my stuff, and I just lost my washer. Okay, so I think I got it all the way on. I ended up having to use one of my strap wrenches to actually hold the, or to tighten up this onto the power steering pump shaft because it kept loosening up. I'm pretty sure this little bearing here is supposed to keep the friction down so that doesn't happen, so it doesn't turn the pulley, because if you turn the pulley then you start loosening this up and then you can't you can't press the pulley on. So I ended up using one of those strap wrenches, which worked really well. I'm not even sure what them are. Oh, them are Craftsman. So them are Craftsman. I think they call them a strap wrench. You just got a rubber strap there and I wrapped it around the pulley. And I think I'm there. I don't know exactly how to tell if you're straight or not. I think it'll start squealing if it's not, and then I'll have to adjust it or whatever, but might stick the belt on there, see what it looks like, if it looks crooked or not. But the pulley, I believe, is where it needs to be. Okay, so with my tool removed, this is pretty much flush with the pump shaft, so I think we'll be okay. So I guess I've got one return line that I'm going to reuse. That rubber one right there that's curled. I'm going to take that off and flush it out. We'll get that installed. And then I'm going to be mounting up my new cooler. So I got to take my grill off here and I got to remove that cruddy cooler there. And we'll get that fitted up in the grill here. Hopefully it won't take too much modification, but we'll get her in there, I guess. I got to tighten up my Pitman arm down there too. Get my bolt tight, so don't forget that. And I'll be back once I get some more progress done here, guys. Okay, so here's the factory power steering cooler. It's got a mount here and a mount there, and then the lines kind of go back there and turn into the engine bay. So I got the bolts loose here. I'm getting ready to pull this one out. Hopefully I can do it without taking the bumper off. Looks like it might be tight. Okay, so you can see it's gone. I was able to kind of wiggle it and stretch it, and it's kind of a tight fit down here, but I was able to get it out without removing the bumper, which is a good thing. Okay guys, so here you see the old one, which them lines look pretty cruddy. Looks like it could have broke at any moment there. There's the new one. Like I said before, this is a transmission cooler. It ain't a power steering cooler, and you can see it's much bigger than that one. But it is a Hayden. Like I said before, I'm trying to get this done over the weekend here, the holiday weekend, and you can order these. They're about $100. I believe this cost me $60, I think. You can get them, but I'm not really willing to wait here. I want to get this done, so I'm going to try to get this one mounted up. Should provide better cooling than that one for sure. Whether or not that's going to affect the performance of the steering, I don't know. I'm going to see if I can't get this thing fitted up in the grill. Okay guys, so I've got this cooler in between the AC condenser and the radiator. The way I chose to mount it is I put a bolt right there because I can't get the AC condenser off without some pretty major disassembly. So I'm not going to be able to put a fourth mounting point down below on this cooler. So I chose to do a bolt there, and then I used their push through right there. You kind of push it through the radiator and then through the cooler, and then you got these plastic round things, and then there's a little rubber pad behind that, and you just basically sandwiching it against the radiator there. So hopefully this will work out here. If I ever get my AC condenser out of the way, I can probably mount this thing a little better, but for now this is what I've got. But I should have enough hose there to go same routing as the factory, went down through here and into the engine bay there. I think I have like 3 or 4 feet of hose on each one of these. So pretty much got it mounted, and I guess I can show you those deals you push through the radiator. Okay, so here's these clips that you push through your radiator, and then you push it through the cooler, and then you snap. Well, first you put one of these rubber deals on, then you snap that over it, and then you cut off your access. So this is pretty common. I think this is how a lot of people mount coolers and stuff. So I think it'll work out. I'm gonna get the rest of my hoses hooked up here and start buttoning up the truck a little bit, and then I should be able to start adding fluid to this thing, and we're on the home stretch. Okay, I got all my wires run. I run some loom over top of them because they are kind of rubbing against quite a few things. I've got them all hooked up, I believe, where they go. So I'm going to start putting stuff back together here. Next time you see me, we're going to start bleeding the system, I guess. Okay guys, so bleeding the power steering system on this truck. Basically what I do is, I mean, the system was completely drained. I mean, there's everything's new. So what I done is I fill up my reservoir, I fire up the truck, and I just let it run for just a small amount of time, and I shut it off. Refill the reservoir, do that again, and then I do that again, and it should be pretty good at that point. Then you're going to want to start bleeding stuff out. I start with the brakes because this is a hydro boost. And then I push the brakes down and you know, do that several times, cycle the brakes, come back here, check the fluid. And then once all that looks good and everything's there, I fire the truck up and then turn the wheels. Turn the wheels back and forth. I usually start one direction first and then check the fluid, and then by that time you should have pretty much all your fluid in the system. I used about 2.5 quart to fill this system up, and I do have a little bigger cooler now, so I might have a little more capacity than a factory deal, but it's really not that difficult. You just do not want to run this pump dry, okay? So you do not want to run the pump dry because that's when you start doing some damage. Okay, so one other thing I do while I'm bleeding the power steering is I have the truck on the hoist. So all the weight is not on the steering system. It's a whole lot harder for your power steering system to move the wheels with the whole weight of the truck on them. So if you can raise the wheels up off the ground, it will help in the bleeding. Okay guys, final piece here. A new GM idler arm assembly. There's the old one. Now the old one wasn't that bad. This, I believe, is another original piece to the truck. 260,000 miles, which supports my theory that this truck has a lot of highway miles on it. This idler wouldn't have made it if he was doing a lot of work or off-road, back road driving. So I'm going to get this new one swapped in, and this is the final piece of the front end to go on. And that's a wrap, guys. Final part. I ain't got my skid plates installed. I'm going to try to clean this up a little bit before I put them back on. But tool cleanup. Get this thing outside and do a little cleanup on it and test drive. Okay guys, after a test drive, just topping her off here. Needs a little bit more fluid. Steers great. She's stopping good. Could probably use an alignment, and new shocks would really help, I think. Pretty sure it's got the original shocks on it, so they are very tired. But that's another time, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.